Mother's Day is a challenging day because it has so much emotion attached to it on all kinds of different people. I'm sure each of us know, single parents who are trying to be both mom and dad and the challenges that has. I have become aware since I've been on Facebook that a couple of people that I've worked with are foster parents, and reading some of their posts of some of the struggles of foster parenting. One of them posted this morning: Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Birth moms, adoptive moms, foster moms, stepmoms, bio moms, grandmother moms, auntie moms, heavenly moms, and any person who is or has filled the gap to raise and love a child. I think that covers just about everybody. I'm not sure, because if you'll get on Facebook, somebody actually posted, even if your children are furry ones, you're their mother. So finally somebody just posted, Happy Mother's Day, everybody. But that does not take away from the fact that investing your lives and the lives of children is the highest calling that any of us has. And one of the pastors that I follow posted this today: what is the name of the oldest, longest running, reality-based survival contest in the world? Motherhood. That pretty well sums it up. But what I try to do on these specific holidays is find passages from the Scripture that talk to all of us. A lot of times men come to church on Mother's Day and say, preach to the women. I'm taking the day off. But that's not what we're going to try to do. We're going to look in Proverbs 31 here at some character qualities that, regardless of your gender, regardless of whether you've had children or not, these are character qualities that we need to build into our lives. So I've called it a person who honors God, a mother who honors God. Now, again, as I said, Proverbs 31 is an incredibly challenging chapter. He talks about her as a wife, as a mother, as a provider for her family, as active in helping the poor, as a business person, as an entrepreneur. You read the last half of that chapter, and this lady was an amazing lady. But what I want us to look at today are 3 verses that pull out her character. Verses 25, 26, and 30. From these verses are the character qualities that everything else flows from. And they are not gender-specific character qualities. They're character qualities each of us need to develop in our lives. Verse 25. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Verse 30, the last part of the verse. A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So even though I'll be using the feminine pronouns, through the morning, guys, we are not exempt from this as well. The first thing he says is a person who honors God is a person of strength. Several years ago, a young lady in our congregation sent me this. She said, Pastor, I want you to read this. I think this is good. The difference between a strong woman and what the Bible calls a woman of strength. A strong woman works out every day to keep her body in shape, but a woman of strength kneels in prayer to keep her soul in shape. A strong woman isn't afraid of anything, but a woman of strength shows courage in the midst of her fear. A strong woman won't let anyone get the best of her, but a woman of strength gives the best of herself to everyone. A strong woman walks sure-footedly, but a woman of strength knows that God will catch her if she falls. A strong woman wears the look of confidence on her face, but a woman of strength wears the look of grace. A strong woman has faith that she's strong enough for the journey, but a woman of strength has faith that it is in the journey that God will make her strong. That's kind of an interesting perspective there. We know that our strength comes from the Lord. You cannot read many verses in Scripture. Think of the verses in the Psalms. The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? God is our refuge and strength, the very present help in trouble. God is the strength of my heart. When all you have is God, and some of us have been there in our lives, when all we had was God. When you get to the point where all you have is God, you learn that if you have God, He's enough. Because we are never stronger than when we are totally relying on God. When our hope is built on nothing less than Him. When we are totally relying on Him is when we are the strongest in our lives. Be a person of strength, and your strength comes from the Lord. Second, he calls her a person of dignity. We don't hear that word much in our society anymore. We don't see much dignity in our society anymore. The King James translates the word honor. It means nobility, excellence. And so the NIV sums it up as dignity. How you present yourself, how you treat other people as a person of dignity. Of course, working in healthcare, it's so hard to maintain people's dignity, as they get sicker and weaker, and we fight for that all the time. Treat people with dignity. But we don't hear much about that in our society anymore. This is an old story from the 19th century when Queen Victoria was ruling. And there was a diplomatic banquet in London. And the guest of honor was a tribal chief from Africa. And everything was going well until at the end of the dinner, the servers brought the finger bowls. Now, he didn't know what to do with that. I wouldn't have known what to do with that. He did what I would have done. He picked it up and drank it. And here's, can you imagine? And then all of a sudden, Queen Victoria reached out and picked up her finger bowl and drank it. And suddenly, everybody in that banquet hall picked up their finger bowl and drank it, because she was more concerned about that person's dignity than she was the mores of society. Learn to treat people with dignity, with respect. Be a person of dignity. Present yourself with dignity. And again, internally I'm struggling with this because we don't hear much about it anymore in our society. And what I'm getting ready to talk about, people say, you're just an old fuddy-duddy. I guess I am. I'm getting to be a grouchy old man. But there's not a whole lot of dignity in our society anymore. As a society, we've lost the ability to be embarrassed about anything. We've lost the ability to blush. And so our society is just rude and crude, and it's carrying over to our women. We need to have dignity. It doesn't mean that you're stuck up. It doesn't mean you're aloof. Doesn't mean you're stuffy. Doesn't mean you don't have a sense of humor. It's not talking with an accent. That's not what dignity is. Dignity is how you present yourself as a Christian man or woman. It's reflecting Christ in our lives. In healthcare, the majority of people I work around are women, and just in the 20 or so years I've been working in healthcare, I've seen a decline in the dignity of women. I left a meeting a while back, and one of the other guys who was at the meeting, we were walking down the hall together, and he said, "Ken, when did women start cussing so much?" And it just, that, and again, that's why I say, we just assume that that's going to happen in our society anymore. And we've lost our dignity. Our women have lost their dignity. Solomon says, a woman that fears the Lord is a woman who presents herself with dignity, who treats others with dignity. And then he says, she can laugh at the days to come. What he's talking about there is being a person of faith. Now, James says, faith without works is dead. And again, you back up the last 10 or so verses of this chapter, she works. She's buying fields, she's making investments, she's doing all kinds of things. And because she has done her part, then she can trust God to do His part. The life of faith is God won't do for us what He expects us to do for ourselves. but then we can't do what only He can do. And so somebody put it this way: do your best and trust God for the rest. And I think that's a pretty good statement. Do your best and trust God for the rest. That's why she could laugh at the days to come. Because you read this, she's made winter clothes for her kids, she's made summer clothes for her kids. She's done all that. She has prepared. She has done her best. She has done her works. And because of that, she can face the future with confidence and faith, because she knows that God is going to take care of her. Hopefully you know that too. Do your best, trust God for the rest. Verse 26, she speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. If you're going to be a person who honors the Lord, be a person who speaks wisdom. Here we go again, talking about words. Solomon talks, I think, as much, if not more, about words in the book of Proverbs than any other single topic. And I feel like I've become a broken record. Because if you're here like every other Sunday, it seems like all you've heard me talk about recently has been words. Because that Solomon just emphasizes it over and over and over. And here he says, speak with wisdom and give faithful instruction. Words can harm you deeply. There are some of us who are old people, and we still carry the stain of something that somebody said to us or about us decades ago, and we still can't seem to get over it. Conversely, hopefully, there have been some positive words spoken into our lives that we still grow from and are encouraged from. You may know the name of Dr. Howard Hendricks. He was associated with Dallas Theological Seminary for many years, prolific writer, Bible student. He tells the story of when he was in 5th grade. He said, I was a troublemaker. I was head troublemaker. My 5th grade teacher did not have a nice thing to say about me. He said, in fact, one day, this is how much our society has changed. He said, one day, she actually tied me to my chair and put tape over my mouth. I was causing so much trouble. Of course, today that teacher would be in jail. But he said, that's how she couldn't figure out what to do with me. And he said, I will never forget when I got to 6th grade. He said, I remember the first day I walked into 6th grade. The 6th grade teacher came up to me and she said, oh, so you're Howard Hendricks. I have heard a lot about you. And then she said, and I don't believe a word of it. And he said, and then she spent the next few minutes talking to me about how much confidence she had in me and how she knew I was going to be a great student. He said I would bend over backwards for that lady all year long because she spoke words of wisdom and encouragement. A couple of years ago, I learned, the great thing about reading the Bible is every time you read it, you learn something new. And sometimes it's because of the section that you're reading. And, sometimes if you stop at a chapter and then pick up another chapter, you don't catch or you don't remember what happened the chapter before. But I was reading a section from 1 Chronicles leading into 2 Chronicles. And we all know Solomon's prayer in 2 Chronicles chapter 1. God comes to him and says, you're now the king. Ask me whatever you want. How would you answer that? God says, whatever you want. And Solomon says, you may remember, give me wisdom and knowledge so that I can lead this people. And I said, what an incredible prayer to ask for wisdom and knowledge. But this particular day, I had started reading in 1 Chronicles about chapter 20. And I read chapter 22, verse 12, where David says to Solomon, may the Lord give you wisdom and understanding when he puts you in charge of his people. And I keep reading and I keep reading, and then I get to 2 Chronicles chapter 1, and Solomon prays almost those exact words. And it's like, I almost fell out of the chair. This prayer of Solomon. that we say, oh, what an incredible guy Solomon was, that God asks him, what do you want? And Solomon says, I want wisdom and knowledge. That prayer was the result of the seeds planted not too long before from his father saying to him, when you become king, may God give you wisdom and understanding. The seeds of those words planted in Solomon brought forth the fruit of that prayer. Wow. What seeds have you planted into the life of people who look to you as an influencer, whether it's in work or as a parent or whatever it may be? What seeds are you planting by your words that are going to bring forth that kind of fruit? That's just staggering. You need to let that kind of sink into you a little bit. That David's words to Solomon end up being Solomon's prayer. Because the words that we speak into people's lives make so much difference. Which is why Paul says in Ephesians 4:29, don't let unwholesome words, that it means don't let words that tear people down come out of your mouth, but rather the words that build people up. We need to be sowing positive words into the lives of people who look to us. How can you do that? I want to talk to you about three things, and you've heard me talk about them over and over and over again, but here we go again. Let me talk to you about arrow prayers. I ran across this term a while back in my reading. I don't even remember who it was, or I would give them credit. But it's when you're praying for somebody at a distance. Have you ever been, in a group of people, maybe at work or, just maybe out and about, and somebody kind of catches your attention, that they seem especially burdened? You remember last week we talked about, anxiety makes a person stoop, and maybe you saw them kind of stooped over and you could tell. Why not ask God to help us develop the discipline of sending a prayer their way? Lord, whatever's going on in their lives, encourage them or strengthen them or whatever it is that they need. We have no idea. I've been in a place, maybe like a restaurant or an airplane or something, with a crying child. My absolute favorite thing in the world is a crying child. and so I said, Lord, please give them peace. Whatever's causing them pain or discomfort, please take care of it. That's a selfish prayer because, Lord, I want to enjoy my lunch. But and it's like the old faith healer said, well, sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But the discipline of just sending a prayer when somebody seems really out of sorts. You ever been at work and it's like, oh my, you said good morning to them, and it was like, what do you mean by that? So, okay. Instead of reacting, why not say, Lord, whatever it is that's going on in their lives, give them some peace today. Help them see their way through. Help me know how maybe I can be an encouragement to them. Arrow prayers. When you see somebody struggling, when God brings somebody to your mind, you don't have time to go over in your quiet place, but you have time to say, Lord, whatever's going on with them, be with them. Encourage them. Give them peace. Wouldn't you like people to be praying that for you through the day? Arrow prayers. Second, compliments. And when you compliment somebody, be specific. I saw how you handled that situation. You really did a good job. Or I know how hard that was for you to go through that. I'm proud of you. Or I saw how you stood up for that person that was being picked on. I'm proud of that. The specific compliments through a text or an email or a card or a phone call. Be specific as you compliment people. And I know, if your boss gives you a compliment, you'll work so much harder for them than if they're always ragging on you. We respond well to compliments, and flowing from that, words of encouragement. How encouraging is it just to get a text from somebody or an email from somebody to say, God brought you to my mind today, I'm praying for you. Just those words that can lift you up and can encourage you. Solomon says a person that brings honor to God is a person who speaks wisdom and instruction. Plant those seeds with the words that you speak over people. And then in verse 30, he really sums it up. A person who fears the Lord is to be praised. Everything else flows from that. The fear of the Lord is, it means respect, reverence, obedience to, commitment to. As that's where everything else flows from. You can't be this kind of a person without connection to the Lord. But as you put God first in your life, as you respect Him, as you reverence Him, as you obey Him, because He says that's how you demonstrate that you love me. We want to do all kinds of ethereal kind of things to show that we love God. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. It's pretty simple. That's what it means to fear the Lord, to respect and reverence the Lord. Obey what He says, live in connection with Him, and then He says that person will be praised. It's a challenge for us, but it's these character qualities that allow us to bring honor to God, that allow us to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world, being a bright spot in the darkness of this world. And for those of us who are children, I guess that would be all of us, isn't it? Verse 28, her children rise and call her blessed, her husband praises her, many women do noble things, you surpass them all. If your mom is still alive, you ought to give her a call and thank her for what she's done for you. And even if she didn't do perfect, she probably did the best she knew how to do. I remember my mom used to say to me, she said, when you were young, we didn't have James Dobson. She said, we didn't know what to do. We just kind of had to do the best we could. But give honor and reverence, and let's, regardless of our gender, regardless of our role, let's try to build these character qualities into our lives to bring honor and glory to God. And it all starts with that reverence and respect for God, and that He is number one in our lives, and everything else flows from that. Father, what a challenge it is to be a person of influence in our world. And I pray that you would help each of us, regardless of our roles in this life, to be a person that draws people to you. A person who, from our words and actions and spirit, our prayer, are helping people get through their lives. Lord, what a challenge it is in our society today. And I pray that you would help us to present ourselves in a way that brings honor and glory to you, in a way that builds up other people, so that people are glad to be around us because they're encouraged by us and they're lifted up by us, and they may not even realize that we're praying for them. But may there be a winsomeness about us because of our connection to you. May your life flow through us and touch the lives of others, I pray. For those of us who had mothers who taught us about you, we thank you. And we ask you that you would help us to pass the faith along to those that look to us for guidance and direction. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine on you and give you His peace now and evermore. Amen. God bless you. Thanks for coming out today.